Welcome back to Joe's Stunner Boxing. So Arnold Barboza Jr. edges Jack Catterall, a split decision win for the WBO interim super lightweight belt. Barboza moves to 32 wins. He's got 11 KOs, no draws, no defeats. And Jack, 30 wins and 2 defeats now, both on points. And this is his, we know about the first Josh Taylor fight, what a robbery it was. Second defeat of Catterall's career. Could have gone either way. It was a close fight. I don't have a problem with the scorecards. Bear in mind, Barboza Jr., 33 years of age, so he's no spring chicken, really. Came all the way from the US. He's from California, LA. And, he fought an incredibly tricky fighter in Jack Catterall. And he seemed to have done his own work because he wasn't reckless. But there's such a fine sort of tightrope walk when you're dealing with someone like Catterall, because you don't want to be reckless. You don't want to jump in. You don't want to leave yourself open to being countered. Catterall is a pure counter puncher. But at the same time, you want to be firing enough punches to catch the judge's eyes and to give Catterall something to think about. And Catterall, the first couple of rounds I gave to Catterall, I thought he was, looking his usual tricky self. Such a crafty guy. And Barboza Jr. was really having a look. I thought, if he's not careful, the fight's going to be half over and Catterall wouldn't have won all the rounds. But in the third round, I thought Barboza did a bit more. Might have pinched that round. But it was nip and tuck. And Barboza Jr. did begin to time Jack by the middle rounds. He was timing him quite well with singles. Catterall is a southpaw, just to add to how annoyingly awkward he is. But Barboza Jr. was landing some pretty decent singles, and he was sort of getting closer. And I wouldn't say this was an exciting fight. It was an absolute chess match that, like I say, some of the rounds were just so difficult to score. And Jack, he does, in the past, I've always thought his style is a sort of tightrope walk, because he can, he counter punches very, very well, but he's so conservative. And before this fight, he was, there was a promo for the fight, and he was sort of making fun of the fact a lot of people say he was boring, and the promo was sort of playing on that, very humorous. But the first half of the fight, you were thinking, yeah, you are boring, mate. And Jack, actually, I don't know whether this was another bit of humour, but he wore shorts into the ring that were brown and beige. Whereas, Barboza came in with, he had, I think, on one side of his shorts, he had the American flag, on another he had the Stars and Stripes, so he's a sort of proud American of Mexican heritage. And he did fight with a sort of controlled aggression. I did worry that Barboza Jr. wasn't firing enough punches. He wasn't being he wasn't being cavalier enough. But then, like I say, with Catterall, you're gonna. I suppose the way to fight Catterall is with lots and lots of feints, and then suddenly when you've lulled him into a sense of security, you've then got to ping a few unknown combos over. It was a very difficult fight to score, very difficult. It didn't surprise me remotely that all three judges had it 115, 130. Two of them went for Barboza. And I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem. A draw. They had three guys in the studio, or ringside actually. Liam Smith, Ismail Davis, and Dalton Smith. And two of those had it 114, 114. This is the type of matchup where, in fact, whoever you put Catterall with, he's going to be a pain in the arse. But you have to give credit to Barboza Jr. for one thing. I've got respect for anyone that comes to this country all that way. And there wasn't anyone cheering him in the crowd. They were all booing him. But he had a job to do. He stayed focused. And I think we have to give Arnold Barboza Jr. a lot of credit, especially when you consider, like, a couple of fights ago. Last year he had, I think he had 3 fights. First one was an 8-round retirement over Ndongini, a guy I didn't really know much about him. But then he had a fight with Sean McComb, and he lost that fight. McComb won most of those rounds. If I live to be 1,000, I'll always think Sean McComb won that fight. And the cards were outrageous. One of them had it something like it was a 10-rounder. One of them gave 8 rounds to Barboza. I thought, this is ridiculous. Sean McComb won that fight. And then Barboza came back. Don't forget, McComb is a very, very awkward, counterpuncher mover himself, very slippery and sliding. And then later on, in the I think it might have even been December or November, Barboza fought Jose Ramirez, who only had one previous defeat on his record, and that was to Jack Catterall, and he beat him widely. I thought, well, I don't know how many it was that wide. It was quite competitive, but I definitely thought Barboza Jr. won 7 of the rounds, maybe. And now he's gone over to Britain and he's fought Catterall. Maybe that McComb 10-rounder that he unfairly won, in my view, maybe that set him up for this fight. I don't know, because both, even though I wouldn't say their styles were the same or even necessarily similar, Catterall and McComb are both slippery guys and crafty guys. And I wonder if Barboza Jr. watched that fight back and thought, okay, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I did this when I shouldn't have done it, and I didn't do this when I should have done it. And maybe he thought, okay, there are similarities with Catterall, perhaps I should do this, perhaps I should do that, perhaps I should, not wait off for too long, don't follow him around in straight lines, increase the amount of feints I'm doing, make sure I get in close quicker my feet up. He ain't got the fastest feet, Barboza, whereas Catterall's feet are pretty quick. But in a very, very close, tight fight, it paid off for him. And he got it, He got it. Big up Arnold Barboza Jr. 33 years old. And finally he's got himself a belt. It's an interim belt, but Teofimo Lopez has been ordered. I think he's got 6 months to face Barboza now. He might well vacate the belt, in which case Barboza Jr. will get upgraded to the full fat champion. Yeah, good luck to the guy, he's done things the hard way. He's moved up the hard way, and he is unbeaten in 32. So he's a good fighter. As for Catterall at 31, he's got to come back pretty quick, I think. It's a big setback, but it's not a major catastrophe. It's not like he was completely outboxed, smashed up and knocked out. He lost a tight, close fight, but it was in his home country, and perhaps you can say that everything was weighted in his favour. So he's got to come back with a meaningful win now. I don't know what they're going to do with him next at Matchroom, but they'll have to come back pretty quick. Anyway, there you go. That's Arnold Barboza Jr., the new WBO interim super lightweight champion. What do you think of this fight? Wasn't a thriller, was it? Not really. But there were some skills on display and definitely some real craftiness. And yeah, Barboza Jr. at the end of the fight was virtually in tears. All his dreams had come true all at once, So what do you think? Leave your comments below. As I say, as always, subscribe to the channel if you want to hit the like button. If you could do that, that would be a big help to all of us. Please support the channel and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the boxing for this weekend, at least in the UK anyway. I hope you enjoyed it, and bye for now.